Good morning, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another episode of Lovin Daily. I'm your host, Julian Bonnici. Joining me today is Sam Vassallo. Hi, Sam. Just a little quick reminder today, our episode is sponsored by Bulgari Malta. Bulgari is introducing the new aluminium luxury sports watch. These watches are unisex and made from aluminium and rubber. Most importantly, they're the perfect luxury gift for your loved ones this Christmas. On to today's stories. Our stories are Marsa Hamrun bypass fails quality tests. A suspected fuel smuggler is granted bail. The PA green lights the new Mercury house tower. The EU announces COVID vaccination rollout date. And Gaffarena murder suspect handed bail. Later on today, we also have an interview with Ben Vincenti from Trackage Scheme. It's going to be a really interesting interview, so make sure you stay tuned. Sam, on to our first story.
First story, a big epic fail. So the Marsa Hamrun bypass has failed a quality test. So the contractors who laid the asphalt on the Marsa Hamrun bypass and Blue Grotto Avenue in Zurich have been ordered to redo their work after failing a quality test, and they have to do it at their own expense. So this was part of Infrastructure Malta's project, a 2.25 million euro project, may I mind you, to open new slip roads and lanes, to improve connections in the area, cutting journey times, reducing accident risks, so on and so forth. All well and good, marketing and whatever, but I think it's hardly effective if we have 40 plus cars on the roads every year, and especially so if the roads themselves aren't even of a proper standard, basically.
No, yes, it's a really, really, really worrying news story. I think what's most concerning about it is who exactly are these tenders and road contracts going to? I mean, if we're handing out millions to people and they can't even get what are meant to be some of the most crucial roads in the country during the biggest infrastructure project in decades, it raises really, really serious questions. If I was the infrastructure minister, Ian Bojo, Infrastructure Malta itself, I would be launching a full-scale inquiry into this. Because truth be told, all it does is raise concerns that all these road contracts were given to friends of the current administration. Hopefully it will be addressed soon. Let us know what you think about it in the comments below. On to our next story. Gordon and Yvette de Bono, suspected fuel smugglers currently facing money laundering charges, were granted bail yesterday at €50,000 per person, and were ordered to give 150,000 personal guarantee. They're also going to be made to sign the bail book twice. So, I mean, quite stringent conditions. Bit worrying that they were granted bail given the level of financial crime on offer. So basically, the court sitting revealed some details about the case. The investigation stretches back to 2013, and Gordon and Yvette de Bono are suspected of laundering millions. One of their employees, Sean Higgins, actually cashed 7.1 million in checks for the pair, while Gordon and Yvette de Bono were found with several inactive companies, still managing to make hundreds of thousands in revenue. It was, a really, really, really large-scale money laundering operation, and really it should be of no surprise. Gordon de Bono himself has been arrested in the past in Italy on fuel smuggling allegations, while last year, when the Sata Bank closed, there was a little probe into it, and it found that he transferred 1.9 million to lawyer Arthur Azzopardi. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And worst of it all, let's not forget, last year, Malta's courts actually sanctioned a 1.5 million euro transfer between Gordon and Yvette de Bono. It's a really, really ludicrous case. Thankfully, the police are finally taking some action. I guess the removal of Ian Abdullah's Economic Crimes Unit head is actually starting to pay some dividends.
Exactly, so we'll be keeping an eye on the story as it develops. On to our next story. The PA has green-lighted the new Mercury house tower. So a 19-story hotel, a 9-story residential building, and an extra 2 stories on an almost constructed tower will be built after the PA green-lighted these new plans. So it seems that this particular area, which is in St. Julius next to the Port of Malta Tower, it seems to be the new high-rise area of Malta. It's quite concerning because this is already one of the most densely populated areas. The local council actually objected to it. Residents in the area have objected to it as well. And yet the PA has overwhelmingly voted in favor of it. So the question is, is the planning authority actually representing residents?
Well, I think the track record will show that they absolutely do not. What's really worrying about the project itself, for those of you who don't remember, actually Joe Portelli, who heads the project, had initially proposed something like 17 to 18 story towers. That was a lot of controversy. So as a compromise, if you'd call it that, he was granted permission to build one massive tower of 30 stories in excess. That obviously meant nothing because he went and applied for another story anyway. Sort of not too dissimilar than what's happening a bit down the road at the ITS site of DB. Maybe to show you that all of these contractors are a bit of a monolith of thought, and whether we like it or not, they have free reign over the country and neither government is doing anything about it. On to our, at least a bit more of a positive news story. The EU has announced its COVID vaccination rollout date. So yesterday, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced that all 27 EU member states will begin vaccinating their countries on 27th December. Very close, kind of like a bit of a Christmas present, I'm sure, for some. For those of you who don't know sort of what the process is going to be like in Malta, the first batch is going to be rolled out to healthcare workers, elderly home staff and residents, and anyone over 85. The second batch will go to over 80s, other frontliners, while the third will go to people who are suffering from chronic illnesses, people who attend school and work in schools, and anyone over 70. It seems like we're going to probably be waiting a bit longer than most ourselves. Just so we're aware, this vaccine is going to be the biotech Pfizer vaccine, but it seems more and more likely that in the coming weeks, the Moderna vaccine will also be approved in the EU. They've just moved the meeting forward, so things are looking a bit positive. Just to remind everyone, we're going to need definitely more than one type of vaccine in the country to inoculate the whole nation. Malta currently has 1.6 million doses, sort of earmarked for itself, but remember, most of these doses you've got to take twice. So really, it might not even be enough for the whole nation as at present.
Exactly. Here's hoping to a better 2021. So just to give you the COVID-19 update from yesterday, just 60 new COVID-19 patients were found. There were 154 recoveries, and active cases dropped to 1,623. Unfortunately, there were 2 more deaths, meaning the total death toll is at 182. It was a 93-year-old woman and an 83-year-old woman. Both died in hospital. Condolences, of course, to the family. On to our last story. Gaffarena murder suspect has been handed bail. Bail seems to be one of our favorite issues in the court. One of the murder suspects charged with Xavier Gaffarena's murder has been granted bail. Owen Schembri, who is 18, has been released on a €50,000 bail bond. He's subjected to a curfew and provisional supervisor order. His accomplice, Leon de Bono, who is 19, has not requested bail. Schembri himself was granted bail due to his clean police conduct and the fact that the cousin of the victim, Vince Gaffarena, chose not to testify out of fear of incriminating himself. Now, just to jog your memories a bit, last summer, Xavier Gaffarena was shot dead. Both men, so Xavier and his cousin Vince, were in Rendi. Vince managed to drive away alive. Again, with this bail issue.
Yes. I hate to be the one to say it, but Malta's courts have learned absolutely nothing in 2020. At the start of the year, we had one man who was out on bail, shoot dead. 2 guys in their home in Slim, a really horrific case. Every government official came out, oh no. Well, we proved it's actually count for naught. This guy, remember, who's under charge for homicide, was deemed to be, given a good clean bill of health and to go on his merry way out on bail. Is it going to have to take another person to die in similar circumstances for the government to finally take action? I'm sure the Justice Minister is listening. He really has to do something about it. I mean, the nation cannot have blood on its hands. More importantly, our judiciary. So on that note, we're just going to move on a little bit. Just to remind you that coming up next is an interview with Ben Vincenti from Trackage Scheme. However, just before that, I want to just remind everyone that today our episode is sponsored by Bulgari Malta. Bulgari is introducing the new aluminium luxury sports watch. It's a unisex thing, so it's good for everyone you know, and it's made of aluminium and rubber. They really, really are the perfect luxury gift for your loved ones this Christmas. Check out this little video about it now.
And we're back with our guest, Ben Vincenti. How are you, Ben?
Good morning. I'm doing great, thank you. Yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Just
Amazing.
to remind you, this episode was sponsored by Bulgari Malta. Bulgari has just introduced its new luxury aluminium sports watch. It's a unisex watch. It's made of obviously premium quality materials, aluminium, and it is essentially the perfect luxury gift for your loved ones this Christmas. So, Ben, let's start with our interview, shall we? You are a music organizer and the man behind Trackage Scheme.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, what is Trackage Scheme and what is this community you've built behind it?
Essentially, Trackage Scheme, at the heart of it, it's all about music, so a passion and a love for music. But its kind of mission and long-term vision is to identify, support, and promote local artists through different, activities that we've done. And also creating like this toolkit for artists of any genre, really, to really help them, achieve what they want to do in the music scene, locally and abroad. That's it in a nutshell.
Super cool. It's so important to support our artists here, especially there's such a wealth of talent in Malta.
Yeah.
So you've organized, a ton of local events ranging from indie rock, techno. I've attended a lot of them myself over the years. Did you ever expect to see the year with no events?
It's been weird. I think it's been weird for everyone, especially events, which are more large-scale events, and the standing events have come to a grinding halt. No, I would have never expected it. I don't think anyone would have. But then again, there are, you can see people became creative and they came out of their shell to do different stuff. We've seen a surge in online events, like in Malta we had like Rock the Quarantine, which was very cool. So there's a lot of innovation that came out through the pandemic. We had a lot of people, bedroom DJs, bedroom artists doing their thing from their bedroom. We had people, doing even abroad, you can see people doing sets, on a mountaintop or whatever, with no people around, which is quite cool. People, doing stuff in theaters. So events kind of in the typical fashion, they did stop, and I think everyone's itching to get back to, I personally am itching to get back to a festival, to the staple events in Malta that we're used to, and even, festivals abroad and all this. Yeah, I mean, it's an unprecedented change, but I think that as you said before, 2021 is looking up, and we're looking forward to get back to it, to be honest.
I mean, creators will always find a way to express themselves. So how do you think the pandemic really affected, Maltese artists and their livelihood?
Immediately there was a sense of panic, there's a sense of like, what am I going to do now? There are people who rely on it even not just from events, you know, like I've been in contact with music teachers that initially they couldn't do, and there are some that still aren't doing music lessons because of the social distancing thing and all this. So from a financial point of view, there are many people who are hard hit, in the arts in general, right? Not just in music. But then again, we've also seen, as I was saying before, people who have innovated, if you will, to come out of it and come up with new revenue streams, new ideas, crowdfunding, I don't know, Patreon, you know, funds and all this. But yeah, I mean, it's been hard on everyone. There were people, you know, there was a lot of outcry. There were many people who didn't get like the wage supplement, which was a huge issue. I've only recently seen that some people who, in the arts industry are now getting it. So I've even seen people, you know, who are local, but you know, they're based abroad, Maltese artists based abroad, that had to come back to Malta because they couldn't sustain their life abroad, you know, maybe higher rents or, you know, they relied purely on gigs or events, and they literally had no cash flow, so they had to pull back. So it's been crushing on everyone.
Do you think the government should have stepped in a bit more, or now should they step in more to support independent artists in Malta?
Look, this is a very touchy topic. So personally speaking, I think that the arts aren't really appreciated in Malta. Like you said, I believe there's a lot of talent which is hindered because we don't have the infrastructure and support mechanisms that are abroad. Let's say, for example, Primavera Festival. You can see how Primavera is backed by the government and huge funds to sustain and support those artists to make it to the big stage. I don't really think we have that culture in Malta. It's a shame because we do have, although we're very small, I believe that we have so much talent. And I always look at Iceland. Iceland has a smaller population than Malta, but it's a powerhouse when it comes to music. Not just alternative music and underground, but even, you know, mainstream. So we should look at these countries for a bit of inspiration, not just for music, mind you, for a lot of things. But no, I don't think that there is sufficient support. There should be way more support, and it must come from a cultural paradigm shift in a way of thinking, you know, that the arts are as important as construction and as anything else.
100%. I think we definitely need to be pressuring the government to do a bit more to support our artists. They are, you know, the people we turn to in our times of need, especially in this pandemic. So I hope that in the new year they're given the attention they deserve. So, Trackage Scheme and Loving Malta will be teaming up for an incredible 3-hour New Year's Eve live stream. Tell us about this.
So this idea came about, I recently moved into my new flat, and it's very industrial looking. It's like, you know, very bare concrete and you know, sheet metal and all this. But, you know, because of the pandemic, kind of events stopped, so our kind of content plan came to a grinding halt as well. And I believe content is king. And we were doing, you know, blogs and all this stuff, but I wanted to do something more visual, a bit more video-ish, if you will. So I had suggested to two of my friends who are actually on the premiere, to Kane and to Craig. What if you came to my house? You know, we just had the backdrop with the, you know, with the concrete or whatever, the house, and we'll do a live stream. And from there, Kane kind of said, I've always wanted to do this, you know, but do it, you know, more professionally, not just like with a webcam or whatever. And it kind of spiraled into the planetarium showcase, whereby we went a bit full on. Kane, I have to shout out to him that he was the main person driving this. I don't want to take the credit for it. He did most of the work. So hi, Kane. So yeah, we started looking at different localities to do this live premiere stream. And Kane came up with the amazing idea, you know, what if we did it at the planetarium, at Exploria? We went to look at it, and it's amazing. As you will see on the 31st, it's something that I'm super excited about it. Every time I see like the promos we've done, I get goosebumps, seriously. Because the way it's shot professionally, you know, with multiple angle cameras, the projections that we have of showing basically the cosmos. It's never been done definitely in Malta. so it's going to be a spectacle. I don't usually use this word freely, but it is something of top-notch quality. And we should be proud that it's going to be a Maltese production from beginning to end, you know. Explora's Maltese, so a shout out to Ian as well, the creative at Explora, to the camera crew, Cyberspace AV, to the sound guys, Visage, to the DJs, they're all local. And even, you know, Track It Scheme is a local entity. So the production that is coming out on the 31st, it's spectacular. And this is, in my opinion, the pinnacle of really supporting local talent, because I believe the product is of international quality and it can make huge, you know, waves in the soundwaves. Thanks as well to Lovin Malta being like a distribution partner for bigging this up. And to Andrew, especially Andrew Farrugia, who's been pivotal in this. He's pushed us and helped us a lot. Yeah, it's going to be, in my opinion, a very, very powerful Maltese product, which can make it big internationally.
So support local artists and consider your New Year's Eve plans sorted.
Yeah.
This is all from us. This was Ben Vincenti, the founder of Track It Scheme. May I remind you, today's episode was sponsored by Bulgaria Malta and their new luxury aluminium sports watch, the perfect luxury gift for your loved ones this Christmas. And stay tuned, because now we have a trailer of the first Vice, where Lovin Malta shadowed Roberta Metsola on the days running up to her being elected the Vice President of the European Parliament. A historic moment for women and Malta, so check it out right now.
Mela, let me get into the table. Boys, it's dinner time. Come, Aya.
Mommy, come.
I want to get out of this idea that Malta is small.
Aħjana naqra maskara, nanna dejjem kien ifajli qatt toħroġ mid-dar mingħajr il-makeup.
I didn't think that I would have been at any point addressing your group for the position of Vice President.
When you come to this parliament, you have a choice. It's about leaving your mark.
It's not launched. 34 hours is too much, Alec, on fortnight.
Gives us a voice that is louder than our country has had before.
This has been my comfort food. Mindu kont żgħira, jien mill-gżira u kull meta jkolli bżonn niċċelebra xi ħaġa hawn
Ho ricevuto la candidatura dell'onorevole Metsola, proposta dal gruppo Popolare.
I was ready to do it, right? Because I felt that it was my responsibility also to do it.